Hey, everybody. I hope everybody is well tonight. Those of you that don't know, my name is Kim, and I host for Tyler on Tuesday night so that he can carry out the ministry of Movement Church. And so I will be your host tonight. Hopefully, Jim will be stopping in. He is supposed to. So, unless something comes up, we should see or get an appearance from Jim tonight. But I just want to welcome everybody, especially new members. It looks like we've got a lot of new members. And so hopefully you're not too disappointed that Tyler is not here. I try to manage the stream and the chat as he would. And so hopefully, that you will not be disappointed. And we're going to have some good conversation, I hope. So again, welcome. Thank you all for being here. And just so everybody knows, Keith, my husband, is one of our mods. So is Amy Heights and Mickey. And I don't know if Mickey's here tonight yet, but those are our mods. Thank them very much for everything they do. Normally, I'm a mod when Tyler is leading the stream. So, but tonight it will be Keith and Amy. And just so you know, and just so you're aware that when Keith and I host for Tyler, when I host for Tyler, handle the show for Tyler, any of the super chats, any of the super stickers, any of the monetary donations, memberships purchased, all of that goes to Tyler Feller Ministry. So I only do this simply to give Tyler a night off to go do what he needs to do for the ministry and to grow Movement Church. So Keith and I don't take any percentage of the super chats. It all goes straight to Tyler Feller Ministries and Movement Church. And so if you're not aware kind of how the channel works here, on Monday through Thursday, we do cover true crime from a faith-based perspective. And then on Friday nights, we have what we call our Faith Friday, which is when Tyler will do a short message. And then we have a time for call-in where people request prayer. And the entire, chat will be praying for them, and Tyler will often pray for them live. So that's kind of how our channel works. And then on Sundays, Tyler does a message on the Movement Church channel. So if you're interested in the faith-based perspective, and if you didn't know, Tyler was a pastor. He is a pastor of Movement Church. And on the Movement Church channel, you can get the messages on Sunday by subscribing to that channel. So again, welcome everybody. Everybody, I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new names as well. But again, we want to thank you all for being here. And you know the rules, right? No profanity on Tyler's channel. We try to keep it clean. Also, Nightbot is truly a bot. So I know sometimes Nightbot will make people a little upset because Nightbot does not like messages in all caps. So if you put your message in all caps, chances are Nightbot is going to delete it and will possibly time you out. But again, Nightbot is a bot. It's not a real person. And so just avoid putting your messages in all caps. That's kind of a thing that YouTube doesn't really like. So Nightbot watches out for that. So if you get, I guess a reprimand from Nightbot, please don't take it personally. Just remember, we want to hear everything you have to. And if you write it in all caps, then Nightbot will probably get you and we'll probably delete it and we won't get to see it. So that would be really great. If you could avoid all caps, again, avoid profanity and just be nice to each other, right? And, as we start out, I always give a shout out to Christina Randall, whose channel I follow. And I really love her line that she says, please be sure to like the video. It's a free way to help the channel grow. So, just wanted to say all of that, and then we will go ahead and get started. Now, one of the things Tyler likes to do, and I don't like to deviate from kind of how he likes to manage the channel, but Pin Dizzy, I love Christina too. I love her. Absolutely love Christina. She's probably one of the first people I followed on in true crime, and I just really, really love her channel and love the way she tells a story with every one of her videos. So love Christina very much. But to start off the way that Tyler always starts off, because he likes to go back and see where people are tuning in from. So if you'll tell us, if you don't mind telling us, where are you joining us from tonight? And you don't have to be specific. You don't have to say exactly where you are. State's fine. But Joan from St. Louis. Hey, Joan, how are you? How are you doing, Yvonne? Welcome. Greetings from California. Love your channel. Thanks. I hope we don't let you down with Tyler not here. Pascagoula, Mississippi. I teach in Pascagoula, Mississippi at Ingalls twice a year. Pantino, Texas. Hey, Debbie. I love Miss Debbie. Love good. So good to see you, Deb. Let's see. Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Montana. Kathleen says that last part of my chat didn't come through right. I meant to say that Box Elder County, Utah borders Oneida County, southeast Idaho, not too far from Crazy Desert. Very, very interesting information. Diana, whoa, it just skipped on me there for a bit. So we've got Seattle, Western Canada, Idaho, Florida, Chandler, Arizona, Toronto, North Carolina, California, North Georgia, right near me. Texas, another Texas, New Jersey, Delaware, Virginia, Ohio, and Jim is here. I'm going to let him in just a second, but I'm afraid if I look away, I'm going to lose track of where I am. So give me just 1 second, Jim, and I'll have you in here. Let's see, another Florida. We've got a lot. Delaware, Virginia. Okay, I already said those. Let's see. Let's skip down here a little bit. Vancouver, New Zealand. Wow, Tom, welcome from New Zealand. Mobile, Alabama, right near my hometown stomping grounds. Pennsylvania, where I met Mr. Keith Brooks 25 years ago. Maggie Valley, North Carolina, East Tennessee, Connecticut, Houston, Lexington, Pennsylvania, Las Vegas, Michigan, Illinois. Wow, Oregon. I'm going to skip down a little bit. There's a lot of them here tonight. Well, one of the things, again, that Tyler always does is he goes back and looks at where everybody is watching from. He is really interested in that. So I appreciate all of you sharing where you are tonight. And he said one of the things, interesting things. I'm going to go ahead and add Jim. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Good. I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just welcoming everybody. I was telling the chat or everybody that's here, one of the things Tyler always does is he always starts off by asking people where they're calling in from. And he said that on the replay, people get really angry about that. So I'm just going to tell those that may be watching the replay later, you can always fast forward through this part. But Crime Stein says King Jim has arrived. So now we got Jim the Bulldog, King Jim. Jim, you got a new nickname, King Jim. How do you like that one?
How about Unemployed Terry?
Unemployed Terry. Well, Unemployed Terry is sure working a lot for being unemployed, for sure. How are you doing today?
You said you're in North Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Like Blue Ridge, North Georgia? Like Dalton, Georgia?
Not that north. So we're in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Oh, okay, Lawrenceville. Okay. I played my college football at Clark Atlanta University, Atlanta, Georgia. Back in the late 90s. You probably have never been to the campus. I'm going to probably bet you've never been down there.
No, I haven't been to that one. Both of our sons played baseball, but I haven't been to that particular college.
Where did they play college baseball? What, like Oglethorpe or something?
No, the oldest one actually was supposed to get drafted out of high school, but he got injured. So he went to a junior college, Florence Darlington, to try and stay eligible in South Carolina. Then he went to Spartanburg, South Carolina. Then he finished at Valdosta State.
Oh, he plays. So is Valdosta State Division II, like they are in football? They do baseball. Mm-hmm. They play. Yeah, the Blazers. That's not far from. I know that area real well, almost on the border. How about your other boy?
He didn't play college. He graduated from high school during COVID. So he coaches now. He does pitching lessons and he coaches. And he's also a background actor. And so he gets a lot of film time as a background actor, but not a lot of money and not a lot of glory.
Well, real quick, just because of where you're at, and you said background actor, just off the subject, because a hell of a lot has happened over the last 6 hours, and we're going to get into that, including something that is quite bizarre that'll happen probably around 10 o'clock tonight. But so I'm playing arena football for a team in Dalton, Georgia. And this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And we had a practice at 6 o'clock in the morning in the arena. And I was coming from an area going through these back roads in North Georgia. It's kind of technically the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. A lot of people don't realize that. Long story short, I'm driving through and there's one gas station and an exit up ahead. And I decide I'm getting ready to stop. And as the fog is coming in and I'm on this side little road going through the mountains in North Georgia, there must have been 700 zombies all over the place. And we'll see if you know where I'm going with this. So they're eating sandwiches, smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, it's 5 a.m. I'm trying to get to practice. Well, they were all extras for The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving at 5 o'clock in the morning because of the fog and the lakes and everything. They were shooting these, filming this show at like 3, 4, and 5 o'clock in the morning. So they held the road. The cars came by, and you could see the zombies like talking to each other, reading magazines between shots. And then I went on to the gas station. I thought that was pretty crazy, but yeah, that area. My brother's in the film industry. He's a producer out in Los Angeles. He's made major motion pictures. We've talked about. It's how I got the celebrity cases. And
oh wow.
Yeah, he looked at maybe going there because they had the film incentive, but he stayed in Los Angeles. New Orleans had it for a while, but all those movies, Stranger Things is filmed up there too, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're getting a lot of movies. The one that I just saw about the abducted wife, that was filmed in Savannah, Georgia, with the guy from 300, Last Seen Alive, which, by the way, it got overlooked because of the Tom Cruise movie and everything. Last Seen Alive, for anybody into this stuff, is a phenomenal movie. That's George Butler.
I'll have to watch that.
His wife goes missing at a gas station when he gets gas.
Oh, we did see that. We did. That was a great movie for sure. Yeah. So now you've got me intrigued, and I'm seeing in chat enough chit chat. What about Dylan? So tell us what's happening.
Well, you seem to have a big part of this for the section that you have. Now I got to give a little bit of pub to a show that I'm going to be on afterwards.
Sure,
so right now, so probably about 3 hours ago, I get a phone call from a man east of the Mississippi, and he tells me a pretty bizarre story that he's got a photograph of Dylan Rounds alive from Friday. So I get calls like this all the time, psychics, knuckleheads. This guy's got kind of a bizarre voice. And I says, well, send me the picture. He says, well, there's a lot more to this. He goes, and I says, why are you sending it to me? I'm not involved in the case. There's $100,000 out there. He says, well, there's a couple of reasons. I'm a convicted sex offender. He says, and I don't want people knowing that I'm getting involved in this. So I'm like, oh, man, come on. So as I'm talking to him, I have his phone number. I go ahead and I look up his background. Everything he tells me, he was upfront honest with me. He was a registered sex offender out of Mississippi. And he sent me the picture. He sent me the picture. And I'm going to tell you something. I can't cross it off the list. We will release that picture tonight at 10:30 on No Investigations. Is that how you say it? How do you say it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I saw you on there last night after our show. I was
on there last night. He was the one that was helping me through this. I sent him the picture. Also, the registered sex offender will come on the show live. Part of the reason we want to do this is because of the amount of pedophiles in that area. This man talked about how attracted he was to Dylan Rounds. He's obviously gay. He's obviously a convicted pedophile based on his background check. So he is willing to answer questions that none of the people that I've been on panels with can answer. How this happened, how they can groom a young man, what these guys were looking for, what he would look for. So it's going to be an absolutely crazy program where the convicted pedophile who said, and then here's the icing on the cake. He said he did some ancestry and he is related to the grandfather of Dylan Rounds. So and he sent that paperwork to me and I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him a shot tonight. We're going to put him on the program. We're going to put the photograph out there. I've looked at the nose, the eyes, the ears. The only thing you can't see is the teeth and the eyebrows, the hands, and I can't cross it off the list, but we got a lot of web sleuths. We know where the picture was taken. We know where it was seen, and I'll give you one more little teaser. It was seen on a national television show on Friday. There was something going on in another state, and it's going to be absolutely crazy. But I'm more interested in what you told me last night about this program and what you might have today, because I did get your email.
Okay. So, one of the things I want to be clear, and Jim, just bear with me. I got to do the disclaimer. Being a mother of a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old, I just want to make it clear that what I'm about to say has not been verified. I've tried to verify it. I know where the gentleman is. I've identified the gentleman that sent the email. It does sound believable, but I want to be very, very clear to everybody that this is not verified. But what has happened, what has transpired is someone who was in chat the other night when you were on, Jim. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. but someone who was on the other night, thank you, Miss Michelle, thank you, while you were talking to Tyler, was talking in chat. You're right. You remember you said you thought you saw somebody mention that in chat? So he
Can I
was
say
in
what
chat
they mentioned?
About the Craigslist thing?
Yeah, because I blew it off because I'm like, nobody uses Craigslist to hook up anymore. It's like Backpage. Like, I don't even think that's a thing anymore, and I guess it still is.
Yeah, yeah. So this young gentleman was in chat, mentioned that he had met Dylan before, and I think everybody just kind of blew him off a little bit, like we tend to do, right? And so he went and he went to Tyler's website, sent Tyler an email. And I'm not going to identify the person by name, but basically what he said was that a year ago that he was looking for work on Craigslist because he was in the area. So that he went and worked for Dylan for 3 days. He claims that in that 3 days, one of the nights they got to talking, and Dylan asked him if he had a girlfriend, and the guy said no and kind of laughed. And Dylan said, well, are you gay? And the guy said, I'm bisexual. And then Dylan said, well, I'm gay and I'm in the closet. And so this is what this young man is contending. So he then contends that they had an encounter together and that there is evidence of that, but that it was a little too scandalous to send to the mother, to Candace, who this gentleman who sent the email claims to have told all of this to Candace. And so what was interesting, though, is he said the next day that they got to talking about another young man.
Who is they? They got to talking. Who is they?
So the person, we'll just call the person that sent the email Bob. Okay. So Bob, who sent the email, said that he and Dylan got to talking the next day about past hookups, that people that they had encounters with, and specifically people that they'd met through Grindr. So Bob says that Dylan told him that he had met one gentleman through Grindr, that Robin, me too, that he had met one gentleman through Grindr who he had an encounter with, and that boy's parents began to blame Dylan for this encounter with their son. Somehow they found out about the encounter. They said their son was not gay, that Dylan had taken advantage of their son, and that in their country, someone who was gay could be put to death, and that they could be justified killing their son for bringing dishonor to their family. So Dylan went on to tell Bob that he kept in touch with this guy, and that this guy, then his parents were beating him, were saying this is against our religion. They were going to send him to conversion therapy. And basically the guy fell off the face of the earth for a little bit. Then he appeared and said he was going to stay. Now just keep in mind stories you've heard recently, that he was going to stay with a family member, and that he was had this secret phone that he and Dylan were communicating with, but that he was going to go stay with a family member.
What phone, ma'am? A what phone?
Secret.
So that would be a burner phone, a phone not
Correct.
Connected to Dylan Rounds' mother. Okay, because I'm taking notes on this because you're going through this, and I've got a whole lot of questions for you. And I want to go over some of this because this all comes back to the same animal, right? This all comes back to the same thing, because let's not forget, just interrupt you here for a second, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dylan Rounds' mother went around and beat her chest that they got his phone and the metadata, and there's not one thing on there. If there was some stuff on there, I'd have had respect for her. I said, don't check Dylan Rounds' phone. Check Kurt Wadsworth's phone, because he does not have that kind of stuff. And I wondered about a burner phone. I wondered about other ways of communication. I wondered about other stuff like that. So what this man is saying is that Dylan Rounds had a burner phone of some sort.
Well, he said he was communicating with this other person whose parents, sent him away, and he was coming and going with a secret phone.
What country, because I don't know, what country puts gay people to death? Canada?
No, I would think it's the Middle East, Iran, the Islamic faith. Keith, can you look that up?
Can you imagine, just for a second's worth of levity here, you come all the way from the Middle East, and you make it all the way to the United States, the land of opportunity, and you land in the only place in the United States in Montello that's probably worse than the Middle East. I mean, think about that. That's like an alien coming all the way down and landing in Roswell. Like, there's nothing there. Why not do that in Manhattan or Las Vegas? Jesus. Go ahead. So I'm listening.
Yeah. So that's generally the gist of it, that they had this encounter. There was someone else that apparently Dylan was in some sort of relationship with, and this other young man's parents were mortified, considered homosexuality a mental disorder, and to the extent that these parents were sending their son to conversion therapy and were blaming Dylan for this encounter with their son, saying their son was not gay, he was just confused, blah, 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 blah. So where this relevancy comes in is kind of to support what you've been saying, is there's someone else who now, and this Bob who sent the email claims that he told this to Candace, but that the only proof he had was
when did he have that conversation with her? See, I'd like to know if Candace knew about this before or after they did not want to work with me anymore.
I don't know the answer to that question. I know the email was sent to Tyler on Saturday, but I don't know when. And I would imagine it was sometime between when you appeared on Tyler's show, which was Thursday, I think it was, and Saturday. I would imagine it would
go.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
How did the interaction with Bob and Candace go?
He said that she did not believe him and wanted proof. And the only proof he had was the video that he felt was too provocative to send to Dylan's mother.
Okay. So where do we go from here? Can I pepper you with questions or what? I mean, how do you want to do this? Because I'm almost a little bit irritated with the conversation, and I'm going to tell you why. Not at you, with all due respect. Okay. So can I ask you some questions? Because I'm as fascinated as the people probably in your chat, which, by the way, they're asking me questions. I cannot watch the chat and you. I just can't do it because I don't want to be one of those guys that's going like this and I'm looking over here when I should be talking to you. So
no worries.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you like I would if I was on a case. Do you mind, Kim?
No, go ahead.
Kim, you talked to this man, correct?
No, I have not been able to verify this information.
Okay, you emailed him. How do you know what he is saying? But he sent you one email, instant messages. What?
He sent two emails to Tyler. Tyler emailed back and forth with him for a bit. Now, I did find
did this man tell you, because Bob is not the guy from the Middle East, maybe. Did Bob tell you what country he is currently residing in?
I know what country he is currently residing in. He's currently in the UK.
The UK. So you're able to verify that this is a real human being and not a web troll that made up a thing to make you and I look stupid right now because we're talking about this gay guy and he's not really in existence. And, Sleuth Bob or something is hiding behind a computer right now laughing his ass off. So this guy does exist. He has no anonymity. You know his name. You know what country he lives. Why hasn't there been a phone call made to this man or a Skype or a FaceTime so that maybe you guys could talk to him and he could seem a little bit more in real color?
So I did send him an email with several questions last night because I told him that we were going to discuss this on the show. And I said, hey, Perplexed Kitty, how are you? So I told him we were going to discuss this on the show and asked him several questions. That's why I'm really stressing that at this point it's unverified because he did not respond to any of those questions.
Why reach out to you guys and not to me? My phone number's out there. He knows I'm the guy that knows he's telling the truth. Mm-hmm. Like I'm the one that saw the UFO too, right? I'm the one that saw Bigfoot. And especially after talking to that kid's mom, he should know he ain't going to get anywhere there. So why do you think he reached out? And I don't mean this disrespect. Why you guys and not me? I'm the one that I could have brought him to you. What do you think the reason is?
I personally think the reason is because Tyler is a pastor, because he reached out to Tyler, not me. You know what I mean? And so I think the reason is because Tyler's a pastor and he specifically went to Tyler's website and submitted the contact form. Now, maybe he didn't know how to get in touch with you. Have you put your email address out there, your contact information?
I don't deal in email. I have a phone number right here. You could call me 24/7, 7 days a week, and I answer if I'm not on the other line or doing a show. So I am the easiest guy in the world to get a hold of. If you need an email address, I could give that to you. Can I keep going with questions? Because I'm enamored by this.
Sure.
Okay. So, okay, so Tyler and you have both had communications with this. Do you know what he looks like? Do you have a picture of this man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Does he have? Okay, so he meets Dylan Rounds through Craigslist. He spends only 3 days with him, correct? He's got to get out there to the middle of nowhere. If he's from another country, that's a hell of a long way to go for 3 days. So it obviously didn't work out. Did this man mention me at all? Did he mention that there was a private investigator that was on to this? So my name never came up.
No. And here, just so you know, here are the questions that I had sent him that we didn't get an answer to. How did you end up in the area near Dylan's farm all the way from the UK? Why were you looking for a job for such a short period? Did you and Dylan email, phone, or text to set up work after you answered the Craigslist ad? Did you always plan to work for Dylan for only 3 days? If not, why did you leave? When you told Candace about this encounter, how did she react? I know she didn't believe you, but how did she react? Do you have any inkling, even remote, that the young man you described Dylan having the Grindr relationship with in the email could be anybody else that you've seen in the news? Do you think there is any significance to the disappearance of Aiden Clune and Dylan's disappearance? Did you ever see Kurt around when you were working with Dylan, and did Dylan ever talk to you about Kurt? And so those are the questions I asked. So I didn't get
this is extremely easy to vet if he will talk to you. See, this is the problem with email. This is why I don't email anybody. This is why I don't text anybody about cases. I got people texting me all day long. Hey, listen, this is Stacy, and they'll send me a 6-page text message, and I just say thanks for the kind words. I don't have time to pound out text messages. If you want to do it, call. But this would be very easy to vet. He would definitely have more than some sort of a sex tape, which is what I'm hearing, or some sort of a provocative act that he performed on him. What would be very interesting is if he had a Grindr account. I really looked into Grindr today. If he had a Grindr account, his correspondence with Dylan Rounds would still be on the Grindr account. There's number one. Number two, his Craigslist emails to Dylan Rounds would still be available and would be around. So even if it was on his side. Number three, he makes it all the way out there. Bus ticket, rental car, plane ticket, meal vouchers, debit cards, gift cards. He had to spend money to get out there somehow. The other thing is, you're telling me he's a guy that's coming into town. He don't sound like somebody looking for work. He sounds like somebody who might have been hired for work. To me, that sounds like a hooker. To me, that sounds like somebody that was paid to come out there. And we know that little MO in that town with the people that he's hanging out with is to draw people in. Maybe that's why he only stayed 3 days. See, I'm looking at this from a whole nother type of angle. It would be very easy for that man to prove that he had any sort of, because the only thing he has is a video that shows them doing a little something together, but he doesn't even have a receipt that shows that he bought a McDonald's Happy Meal on the way there or how he got there travel-wise. So you guys sent me this information to look over, right? I'm allowed to talk about that, right? The original email. Well, I too have emailed this man early this morning. Nothing. Nothing. Part of it, and I'm not saying that he's lying, but if you're going to be a liar, if you're going to run a hoax, and this is how you catch people, and they teach you this in school, you got to have a great memory. If I'm going to lie to you, let's just say you lied about your kids' baseball careers. If I says, okay, well, why didn't your son go to a Division I school again? Or what happened when he was why did he go to a community college? You've got to now think back. Well, did I say it was because he injured his elbow or his knee? If you don't know that for a fact, you have to have a great memory in order to remember what you just said, which is why cops and private investigators ask the same question different ways several times. Right. So he would not be able to bullshit me. He wouldn't be able to con man. It would take me 30 seconds to know if this kid was telling the truth. The last question I have is why? Why is he coming out? Why is he doing this? He can see the pain the family's already been in based on what I've said. Now he's got a video, a tape. And by the way, you got my phone number. He knows my email address, which, by the way, if anybody really wanted, I'd give it to you. It's thecoastalpi@yahoo.com. Send me your video. I'll take a look at it. I'll tell you what it is. As long as they're of age and they're not minors in that video, I'll take a look at it. But I haven't heard one other person tell me, and I've got eyes on Dylan Rounds, that he had anybody there from a foreign country other than maybe Mexico, or that he had to stay there.
Tyler just clarified. Just to clarify, Bob lives in British Columbia, Canada, not too far from Metella or Utah. He went on Craigslist.
Then let me tell you something. So I did a little bit of digging, and you said the UK, so I kept my mouth shut. The UK is the United Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm. I said that incorrectly.
A whole different continent, right?
Yeah, I said that incorrectly.
Okay, so British Columbia, I found this man based on his emails and stuff. I've got his pictures as well, and he did check out as credible. So now I know what you know. I just thought when you said the UK, but with the United Kingdom, that's a whole nother. Like I said, I kind of mentioned Canada. I was joking earlier, so that's kind of what I was trying to slip in there to see if I would get the nod.
Gotcha. Yeah, I said it wrong. I'm sorry.
Okay, so he's in Canada, which is not as far. I mean, that's a lot. You could take a Greyhound. You know what I mean? Yep. So the main question is, I want to know how he talked to Candace Cooley. I want to know if he called her, because imagine this: you're Candace Cooley. You crap out the private investigator who's as aggressive as it could be. By the way, we're on 5 weeks, and the mother was on that Salt Lake City news station last night, looking disheveled. We got nothing. The only thing we got. And by the way, the news commentator from the Utah news station has done 2 days worth of interviews for me. They're keeping her around because they need to, because she's in charge of it, which I think is the power that she likes. But they're talking to me now. If you look in the background of Candace Cooley's interviews now, less and less people, less and less activity, less and less helicopters, less and less dogs, less and less RVs, less and less search and rescue people. It's going to go away. And the fact that they didn't do this the right way from the beginning, if for nothing else to put my number out there to vet these things for them, I have a feeling they knew it was coming. And I released this on a show last night. The woman that met with Candace Cooley at the casino and Candace Cooley's husband, which, by the way, Cooley is not her husband's last name. Her husband has a son that has a massive drug problem. I don't know if he's a dealer. He's in prison or jail, I think, as we speak. She does not take his name, and there's a lot of different reasons. From what I understand, the kids didn't even come to the wedding. There's some issues there. So he kind of stays in the shadow, takes pot shots at me, but has never really come out and confronted anybody. He's got a large, tight mess on his hands himself. The problem now is they've cut off their nose to spite their face. Now, if the family wanted to reach out to me, if they wanted to go public, if they wanted to admit that they had made these mistakes, unfortunately, these are the type of people I've been told that she will fall on her sword. I can have that man here on the show, just like I had a man from that town say that he saw Kurt in lipstick and eyeshadow, that he saw him in drag. And you know what they said? That's one of the private investigator's friends. That's a buddy of his. Meanwhile, the guy lives next to the saddle sore and his mom owns it. So, there's a lot of ways that you can skin a cat, depends on who you believe. So this is very, very interesting to me, Kim, and I am just overwhelmed with this. I was hoping by now this man would have reached out to me. If he does not reach out to me, if he does not talk to me, if he does not email me, I got to take everything he says with a massive grain of salt, because I would be on his side and I would not do anything publicly if he didn't want me to. But I'm his number one ally right now, but I may need him more than he needs me. So God bless him. I hope he calls me. Partner, let's do this. I can do for you what Candace won't. And maybe if you care enough, we'll take this the rest of the way. And it would be an absolute home run. I did mention this to the news stations in Utah, to the news stations in Idaho. And you know what they told me? We were already told by Candace Cooley not to speak with you. We didn't know your name. We knew you would call. For example, on the news station in Utah, they had some bald guy who looked like he was wearing eyeliner with a suit on, and he was the private investigator. I almost puked. Half the people said, "You look terrible. I didn't realize you were that old." That's not me. The private investigator in the Utah news station is a guy that works for the network. That's not Jim Terry. We know that. But the family's got a private investigator using him through the news station, and that's not me. So it looks like that's a new guy. Really, he works for the news station. So now the news station's like, whoa, wait a second, a video? Well, the family's not adding up. Then they go and they look at Candace Cooley's background, the $2.6 million worth of debt, the boyfriends that she had.
That's crazy. That's a lot of debt. That is $2.2 million. That's a lot of debt.
2.6, and add another $500,000 onto that.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money to fight it too. They said they don't realize how she's in jail. See, when people with the family, when I said this earlier, wanted to hire me to get back into this, people with the family, I got chopped up on every social media platform. They didn't realize that Candace Cooley had a harem of ex-fiancés and boyfriends that cared about Dylan Rounds, that loved Dylan Rounds, that still talked to Dylan Rounds all the way up to the time he disappeared. That's how I found that photographer, who, by the way, in the news stations called, and he said, well, Dylan's not gay, but he didn't say that he wasn't. So it just is kind of, birds of a feather, maybe. I mean, there's starting to be some more breadcrumbs here. Sooner or later, the puzzle will be put together, Kim.
So what are your thoughts about, let me answer a few questions real quick. People are saying,
Please.
Why you guys, not the FBI? First of all, remember, it's not me. He sent these to Tyler, who is a pastor, and he went to Tyler's website, submitted it through the contact form. So a lot of people are saying, why you guys? I don't know. And that's why, remember.
Hold on a second, Kim. Why, if he went to the mother who's associated with the FBI, what's the FBI going to do? Okay, the PI was right. We're still looking for him. Then they have to acknowledge it. I bet you the FBI never even got that tip from the mother. I'm going to guess that she caught that, blocked it, and didn't let that go anywhere else. And it's not for anything about platforms like here where they're getting that information. She runs that show, and she's the gatekeeper.
Yeah. And again, that's if you're late joining, one of the things I was very clear to say is that this is unverified information. We're just sharing it in the hopes that maybe it will help find Dylan, because there are things that, as Jim was saying, I mean, if I were, okay, let me just put it this way. All I can speak for is myself. If either of my two adult sons were missing, I don't care what you would tell me about my two adult sons, if it would help me find either of my adult sons. You know what I mean? So I think I want to be really clear that as a mom, I'm sensitive to that. I'm sensitive to those emotions of, learning things the hard way. But if your kid's missing, does that matter? It doesn't matter at all how you're learning the information.
What religion are you?
I grew up RLDS, converted to Baptist at 8, and I'm now Methodist.
What's RLDS?
Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay. So you can understand that the grandparents here, who are the ones that bought him the farm, the ones that gave him the loan, the ones that said it was okay for him to drop out of school. By the way, Justin and his sister are adopted children, which makes this pedophile that is coming on the other show later tonight more bizarre, because he's related to the parents. Because I says, well, you're not. He goes, well, I'm related to the family, and I'm thinking he's lying because those kids are adopted. And he goes, no, I'm related to the grandfather. And I almost fell off my chair. So he knew enough to know that. But I think religion plays a big part in here. I'm telling you, it plays a big part. I think the family's outlook and their front means a lot to them too. They don't want this to be the focal point of why this kid went missing.
Well, as I mentioned, growing up RLDS, which is a little bit different than LDS, but I have an uncle who's still LDS. I know a lot about the LDS church. One of my personal theories, and this is speculation trigger warning for everybody who doesn't like speculation. One of my personal theories, after researching the grandparents and how prominent they were in the LDS church, is that potentially, no matter whether or not the grandparents agree with the grandchild, that is still their grandchild. They're still going to love their grandchild. And you saying that, that picture that could potentially be Dylan, one of my theories has been that the grandparents gave him that loan because they found out, and to get him away, because they didn't need the embarrassment being that high up in the church, but they still loved him. So, here's the money, go get saved somewhere and write me later, I think is a very big possibility.
Why hire me?
To make it
fire me.
To make it look good. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a PI at all, but it's just one of my theories that I could see grandparents who are that high up in the church and still loving their grandson and wanting their grandson to be happy, but can't have it happen in front of them, would be like, here's some money, go live your life and get back, contact us and let us know you're okay. Especially if you're seeing a photo that could be him alive.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you what, if that is the case, and that'd be fantastic, it'd be a great story. And we saw that before with that mom, that super mom in Northern California, said the Hispanic women abducted her. I knew one of the guys that worked on that case, a private investigator, and he just said, hey, listen, he says, they did the same thing to me when I said, she ran off with a dude. She's with a guy. She's not kidnapped. You don't, how dare you talk about that mother that way? If they are doing this, and they did do this, they did it the completely wrong way. Because let me tell you something, if that kid's alive out there, it's not going to be hard if they find him dancing in a club in Miami or hanging out in Portland, Maine. It's not going to be hard for the FBI, which is involved now, and the police, to put the dots together. And those grandparents are they've got a lot of people to pay back, because the man hours and the money that's already gone on into this is just incredible. $100,000 reward. You know, and I've had people call me, the mom's looking for a reality show. She's looking to raise money. If you notice, every major talk show she goes on, they say, do you have a GoFundMe? Do you have a GoFundMe? That is code for, if you have a GoFundMe, we're going to ask you about the 2.6 million in your shady checkered business past. No, we don't have a GoFundMe. We have one Facebook page. She's doing that because the follow-up question to a GoFundMe is, well, Candace, are you in charge of this? We've got it right here that you have these liens and these. That's where it would go at that point. And that's pretty interesting.
Do you know what all, I mean, that, okay, so 2.7 million, that's what you said, 2.7 million in debt? 2.6. What's it from?
So the man that she owes the money from, and I'm going to paraphrase this and they're going to rip me apart. All the records are out there. It's been on other shows and things of that nature. About a week ago, 5-6 days ago, I got a phone call from the man she owes the money to. It's a former fiance that was with her for a while. Him and his current fiance, she's remarried, told me a story about this woman, which, by the way, I have recorded. It's almost 90 minutes long, and it is fascinating. They talk about this young man and the two other siblings' upbringing, how the mother abandoned them, how the mother and the father. What initially interested me in the conversation, in which Candace Cooley's ex-boyfriend, ex-fiance called me, the man she owes the money to. And I guess it wasn't she owed him 2.6 million. It was like whatever the price was, and then attorney's fees, and then interest, and then they went back to court. It just kept accruing, and it rolled over. So I don't know what all the figures were, but I know the total right now is about 2.6. So basically what they told me is that they said, did you talk to the other private investigator? And I said, there's another private investigator. And they said, yeah, the family, the ones that hired you, the grandparents, the Roundses, hired a private investigator a long time ago who caught Candace Cooley cheating on her husband with other truck drivers. She was a dispatch person. She was the one in charge of talking to the truck drivers. It's like putting a kid in a candy store. So not only did the private investigator find out she was cheating on Justin Rounds, he also found out, or she also found out, and I'm dying to talk to this PI, but in Idaho, they're really not licensed. That's why I'm able to work this case out of Idaho. You don't have to really have a license. You could work it. So the bottom line is I tried to look for these people. They may not even be a business anymore, and they've got my number. Call me. Call me, PI, if you're following this case. And basically, he went to Justin and said, not only is she stealing from you, she's messing with this dude over here. And Justin tried to run her over with a car and was arrested for that. He tried to run her over. So the friction, the hatred, the static that you've seen between those two people when they're doing that interview on the East Idaho News is very real. They did not have to be in each other's presence for a long, long time. They also told me a story that when Justin and his siblings were younger, there was a massive fight. And the kids went with their father when Candace and her then boyfriend, whichever guy it was, got into some sort of an altercation. And by the way, I've asked Candace Cooley to come on any of these shows with me and discuss all this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm getting things a little bit mixed up, she won't do it. She won't go on any show that I'm on. She will never come on here again.
Well, real quick, I want to address, if a couple of people are saying, what does this matter? If what it matters to me, why I asked you the question, is if we're looking at, all different scenarios, we don't want to go just down one road. I mean, I'm pretty well versed in the scientific method. If we're looking at different theories, then one of the theories, that's a lot of money. One of the theories could be something to do with that. So that's why I was asking you, Jim, where did that debt come from? Because the reason for that debt could potentially impact.
Well, if I told you right now, and see, this is the triggered culture we're in right now. This is that woke triggered culture. How dare you shame the woman? How dare you come after the mom? And I'm a mom. I don't care if my kid was missing. Wrong. That's not how it is here. I'm telling you, that's not how it is here. So in order to do that, you have to look at the person that's in charge of this and what their motives are and what this boy's lifestyle was. Let's forget about the 2.6 million. Why was this kid, the mother went on the news and said he got his GED. I called the school system. That's not true. He dropped out. So she lied. So why is that important? I don't know. Why is she lying about it? The grandparents bought that kid a farm behind the parents' back. Why? Why say that? Why do that? They give him $50,000 behind her back. Why do that? Why say that? Probably because they didn't want her getting her hands on it. They didn't want her to know he had it. Who knows? Why is this important? Because if I told you right now that Justin Rounds had a $2.6 million gambling debt or drug debt, or that he owed loan sharks $2.6 million, would kept his business alive, everybody would be jumping all over this. But because it's a cute little mom, and we got moms in the chat room that are super moms, how dare you go after the mom that way? I didn't do this to her. She did this to her. She opened this can of worms. If she would have called me and said, go away, we paid you in full, the grandparents don't want anything to do with you. No, what did she do? She got a group of web sleuths. She put out a press release and said I was a conspiracy theorist, but didn't say what I was a conspiracy theorist on. Didn't say that what I said wasn't true, and then went on bashing me to media outlets before I even get to them in order to clear my name. The problem is she's not as good at this as I am and not as tenacious. So this is a lot like when Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, was out of the country, and the American Sniper had a story that he knocked him out in a bar, which totally was untrue. But it sold 1 million books and got him a movie, and he later lost in court. The public opinion is what has now swung because they've seen how diligent I've been on this, and certain people are starting to come out. They thought I'd just go away and get to the next case. And I says, oh, no. My background and integrity is way too important to let this lady. Well, then I opened up my phone lines, and everybody and their mother started calling me with a Candace Cooley story and said, have you looked into the mom? How do you know the mom's not behind this? Pickup truck seat was how close. The mom's 4'11". I get those calls all day long. Why is the mom spearheading this when she lost custody of her children? She voluntarily left her kids for this long. Is that why she's not crying? So those questions come up, and you'd like to cross them off the list. I can't do that, Kim.
Now, let me ask you this, just because I know a lot of people want to know, and you probably said this a million times, but I haven't heard it. So why are you so vested in this case? What's your goal?
Oh, I'm not vested in the case, Kim. And I'm very upfront and honest with this. My number's out there, so I get calls daily. There's a lot of criminals that don't want to call the cops, a lot of people that think I'm entertaining, a lot of women that think I'm extremely good looking. I take those calls too, Kim. I mean, I don't want to disappoint anybody.
Okay.
Kim, Kim, you're laughing a little too hard at that one. But the bottom line here, Kim, is that I have a vested interest to let people know that what I had wasn't a guess, wasn't a conspiracy theorist, it wasn't a lie, and it wasn't a con. It was the level of what I needed to do to cross off Dylan Rounds' significant other. And his significant other in that time that I knew of was Kurt Wadsworth.
Gotcha.
Just like Gabby Petito's was. Why were you guys so into Brian Laundrie? Why that guy? He's the boyfriend. Well, I looked at the boyfriend too. I was more shocked at the age difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely does. And one of the things I think that maybe, I guess, hard for people to understand is that this is your professional reputation too. Like, people are like, why is he going so hard for Candace? And it's because and again, I feel for her because as a mother, but she has gone pretty hard for you, right? And and this is your career too. Is that part of it?
I spoke with every one of her ex-boyfriends. Let me give you kind of a funny story here. All right. This will skirt on your line, but I know where I'm at with this show. I talked to the guy that bought her breast implants. He's more pissed off than the guy that she got 2.6 million from. He never got to use them, he told me. Now that sounds like a joke. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is this is and I've got more, and I could just, like I said, I could tell you about it, but I'd rather show you. And I'm waiting to play that tape. Maybe I don't have to. I think by now the family would have reached out to me. But this is a woman who will fall on her sword. This is a woman that will not admit guilt. This is a woman that will not take direction. And because she chose to go against the exact same type of animal, the only difference is I'm a guy. If I look like you, or I was a female private investigator, it'd be a cat fight. If I say it, I'm a bully. But what I've got here is a reputation that I will not let her besmirch. And what would it say about me if I said, the next case I go to, well, Candace's mom, and by the way, okay, the real reason, the over-the-top reason, is I was also paid and called by and contacted first by Aiden Klum's mom. Guess who called her and said, don't work with him, we'll help you? Candace. Candace did that. Aiden Klum's mom paid me in full. I spoke with the family 2 days ago. They threatened me. I wanted to get a hold of the father because she didn't want me putting the press for both boys together. That's what I was going to do. She didn't want the press together. She wanted to be in control. So Aiden Klum's mom, by the way, everybody, for those that don't know in the chat room, hired me as well. It would have been the first time I ever worked 2 cases at one time. And that was a major no-no. And I knew I was in trouble with that family when both mothers stopped talking to me. And they both have gone on all the same shows. So you asked me why I'm still diving in this case. I'm not actively investigating this case. I'm actively investigating the people that said that I was full of crap.
Gotcha.
It just happened to be part of this case.
Gotcha. So now, to kind of change angles just for a second, Aiden Klum, so you mentioned the other night that you think that that's a highly overlooked case. Do you think they're related in any way?
I think you got to look at them. You got 2 kids. And by the way, the reason I'm repeating myself, guys, is because there's people in the chat room. There's people that didn't listen to me on other shows. And I'm assuming none of you have heard this for the first time. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I want to make sure I got as much color and context as possible. Do I think they're related? I would say it's probability about 99% that they're not. Okay. Mm-hmm. But are they similar? Is there similarities? 100%. The age, the look, the fact that when I asked the mom, she texted me and I have those pictures she said she looked on her. That's why she hired me. When I first got her on the phone, I says, is your son gay? Because I knew what I knew about Dylan Rounds, and it wasn't the first time I had brought it up, but I hadn't brought it up publicly yet. Don't forget, me and the family had about a week and a half worth of gay discussions with the family and looking into things. It wasn't until they didn't talk to me for a couple of days and I went public that it was an issue. It was never an issue the first week. It wasn't like I said, he's gay, you're fired. It was, let's talk about this, look into this. And then Candace came to me and said, hey, run this license plate. Look for these 2 other missing boys. Well, Candace, you didn't pay me. You don't direct me. And this isn't your investigation. And when I did that, they stopped talking to me. And then when I went public, they tried to fire me. The other kids surely did that. So the age, the difference between the 2 is the other boy had a lot of mental problems. He was on a lot of medicines. His mom even said that. But the other thing that's similar is he was at his grandparents before that. But so there is some similarities. I don't believe they're connected. I believe the only way they could be connected, like people said, did they run off together? The other kid went missing like 2 months before him. The only way they may be connected is, forget the gay thing for a second. We're forgetting about the little vigilante group that was going around that area policing it. Now, Dylan Rounds and them dudes he was hanging out with in that little vigilante group, or the vigilante group without Dylan Rounds, and the Elko County Sheriff is aware of this. I've said this on other shows. If they went out there and ran into that kid 6 weeks ago in the desert, who knows how that went? Who knows what went down? So maybe that would be the only way I think the 2 could be maybe connected. But you got to look at it.
So did you see this news story? I'm going to share this real quick. That the FBI, it's a good comment by Lisa, and I actually have this queued up. The FBI is now looking in Park Valley, Utah.
They're knocking on doors, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's interesting because that tells me they're either looking for somebody who's a drifter or they think he may be alive.
Yeah, they said they're looking and knocking on doors. Turned up no definitive results. There was a residence that was taped off, but someone on the Facebook page said that was not a crime scene because there was some speculation on Twitter, those kind of places, that they had found the murder scene. But thank you, Southern Gal Jen, appreciate it. Good to see you. But on the Facebook page, Jazz had said, I'm not sure who that is, but Jazz had said
that is their
was,
publicist. That is a person that they hired to do their social media. That is the person that is advising Candace Cooley and getting her in contact with certain web sleuths and people of the internet.
Okay. So Jazz had said that this was not the murder scene, but it may have been roped off to accommodate the nearby Burning Man festival. That's interesting. That Burning Man festival, I had no idea that was there right now. But it says after a preliminary investigation turned up no definitive results, authorities are still looking into the possibility there was some sort of foul play. And then the chief deputy of the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, Cade Palmer, says if anybody is connected with Dylan's disappearance, they need to know we're not going away. We're going to continue to knock on doors no matter how long this takes, whether months or years. And so it's just interesting, the area that they're looking at. Any thoughts about that? I mean, I know you said that they either think he's alive or maybe that there's a drifter there, but that's also about that same route that Chase walked, wasn't it? That's what Grizzly said. I'm not coming up with that on my own.
Maybe they're going door to door. Maybe they're going door to door to look for surveillance footage. You know, maybe they're going door to door to look for cameras on the houses, ring doorbells, things of that nature. To be honest with you, I think they have a pretty good handle on what probably happened here. And I think that a lot of the people that you're going to see that were involved in this are already in jail right now. I've got a couple of names. They're out there. I think that that's where it's at. It's just a matter of getting them to roll on each other. They started arresting people in and around that area for crimes like, you know, driver's licenses and outstanding warrants that they didn't touch before, which leads me to believe they wanted those people where they could find them when this thing goes bad. You know, I mean, wow, bizarre.
Lee said the mob crew has pictures of the FBI with taped off area near the water supply. Have you heard anything about that, Jim?
No.
Okay. And Shelly and Athena said Burning Man doesn't start till end of summer. Interesting that Jazz would say that's why it was taped off. But I believe you.
Maybe with the stages and the things that they set up out there. I was out in that area when that went on. That's not really my scene. But I know that area, having played arena ball up in Reno. And I could tell you that that takes weeks, if not months, to put together. And we're almost halfway through summer. I mean, it's the 4th of July next weekend, right? So, right? Or this weekend?
This weekend, this Monday, yeah.
I mean, they're already advertising for Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, and you know, and college and pro football starts in a month. They're up against a real time clock. I've said this on other shows. This story is going to go away. It's going to go away. It's already losing steam. If it wasn't for me and the mom fighting, this thing would be dead. Nobody would care because he's a guy. If that was a girl, it would never die. But it's a guy. It's a white guy. It just doesn't have the same legs after a while.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments. Thank you, everybody, for clarifying that there is no Burning Man Festival going on right now, confirmed, and MOB Cruise live at 5:30 today. So I appreciate that. Again, that's not me saying that. I'm just reading what Jazz said on the Facebook page that possibly, she said that, I guess that's a she, said possibly that's why the area was roped off may have been to accommodate a nearby Burning Man festival. So that, but apparently that is not true. And thank you everybody for clarifying that in chat. So I'm going to go ahead and post the call-in link. I don't know if there's anybody that has questions for Jim. I know Jim.
Can you do me 2 favors on these? Okay. And I don't want to tell you how to run your show, but this has worked out well because it helps me. I get educated too, right? I'd like to know where they're calling from, you know, Hartford, Connecticut, or if they want to say Central Florida, that kind of a thing. But I also like to be able, I don't want them just to come on here and say, hey, what do you think about the boots? And then hang up. I'd like to be able to bounce off them a little bit because maybe they know something from an area where I don't know much.
Well, Tyler Feller has joined us for a few moments.
Who?
Tyler Feller, some guy. I think we might be on his channel.
Yeah, he's in Burning Man right now.
Yeah, guys, I'm in Burning Man. That's why I can't be on camera. I just wanted to clarify something, Jim, as we were talking about the email that was sent. The guy who sent the email wasn't saying that he was the one having a secret relationship. What he was saying was that Dylan told him that there was a secret relationship going on with a third person.
But the guy did have a hookup with Dylan. I think you got that, didn't you, Jim?
Yeah, because the guy from the country that doesn't allow gays was the relationship. The other guy from Canada is the guy that. But either way, they all messed with each other, right? I mean, either way, they all had Dylan Rounds, right?
That's one way to say that. That didn't come out though very specific or very clear in the conversation tonight. So I just want to make sure that we're reiterating that.
Do you believe him, Tyler? You're a pretty good judge of character. I'd go with what you say. You believe him? You think it's real? You think it's a web sleuth out there wanting to make you look stupid because you got over 40,000 subscribers?
Yeah. Last night, we're celebrating that big time today. Hey, we're on a journey here, and we're trying to have as much success as possible because we know that there's a lot of channels that don't cover content with truth, and so that's what we fight really hard for. I'm optimistic, but cautiously so towards this email. Partly because I felt like in my heart that this guy wasn't really going after publicity of his own. To me, that's a really important factor. Like, I didn't feel like he was trying to get his own pedestal. It's like, if he could have done it anonymously, I think he probably would have. And so for that reason, it lended a little bit of credibility to it. As I went through his Twitter, I wasn't convinced that he was like the most mentally stable human being. And so that added a little bit of caution towards it as well. So I'm leaning towards like 60, 40, 60%. Yeah, I think we need to keep deep diving. 40% no. I did have several emails with him. And, I kept just asking.
You have a phone number on the man?
I don't have a phone number. I don't think. I'll go back and look. Kim, do you remember me getting a phone number of his? Because initially I thought I did have his phone number, that he had sent it. But I'm sure we can get a phone number. That's no problem. It's easy to get phone numbers.
Yeah, he's got such a unique name. Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. Let's pray for Dylan. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Thank you.
By the way, I want to correct something that he said. He's on a journey. I would think that you guys would be more on a pilgrimage. Do you know the difference?
I guess a pilgrimage is a religious experience to go.
It'd be a religious journey. Yes. One that has more than just getting to an end destination.
So we're on a pilgrimage here.
That's correct.
So I'm going to hop off, but I just wanted to, that little piece of information didn't come across like abundantly clear as I was watching. You guys are doing an amazing job, by the way. I really appreciate it. I wanted to just make sure.
No, I appreciate it because I wanted to make sure, as a mom, I preface that whole thing by saying, as a mom, I'm even hesitant to share something I can't verify. But then I think about it and I'm like, you know what? If there was something that could help find my son, and hopefully alive, or even get justice for my son, I would want to know it. So I appreciate you clarifying that because I want to make sure that I don't say anything that is harmful or detrimental. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for hosting, Kim. Jim, thanks for hopping on the stream tonight.
Thank you.
Bye, Tyler. Have a good night. So I'm going to add William and Patricia.
Is Tyler gone?
Yeah, he's gone. He's doing something.
Hey guys.
Hey William. Hey Patricia. How are y'all?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Doing good. It's good to be on the show.
Well, William, where are you calling in?
Yeah, I'm actually calling from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Gotcha. And what do you want to talk about with Jim tonight?
Yeah, just a few things. Jim, you're like the Michael Jordan of private investigators, man. I love your energy. You're awesome. It's a shame what happened with, you not working the case. I think, if it was up to me, I'd still have you on it because you seem to know a lot of really valuable information. And me personally, if I have a son that's 12 and I would never want him out there in that kind of environment. From what I heard it's terrible out there. I wouldn't even feel safe out there.
I don't disagree, and I appreciate the kind words. I mean, there's only two things that I know for a fact that I could do, and that's never give up and work on it 24/7. It's a competitive thing. But I think the real question here is why the hell does a guy from Wilmington, North Carolina have a New Jersey or a Brooklyn Nets logo on his? Are you originally from that part of the country, or what's going on?
Yeah, I was born in Englewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
And always been a Nets fan, even when they were back in the Jason Kidd, Vince Carter era. And I don't know if we're ever going to get a championship, but
there you go.
it's just rough now with all the Kyrie stuff going
North
on.
Carolina, for those people don't know, is an absolute jewel. They filmed a lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies there. I lived in Myrtle Beach and played arena football down there, and Wilmington was only a hop, skip, and a jump north. And I went north, and they have the big cliffs that hang off the ocean and all that kind of stuff. It's an amazing city, partner. But thank you for the kind words, and thank you for sticking with me on this. And hopefully it comes to an end that I'm happy with.
Jim, I just wanted to ask you real quick, and then I'll let everybody else get on. But I just wanted to what do you think happened? What's your theory of what happened out there?
If I had to have a theory, I think they slaughtered that kid. I think that kid went around and bragged. I think that kid went around and was a little bit entitled. I think he got too comfortable with anybody. But then you put into the fact that 74 out of the 200 people in that geographic area are pedophiles. That's not counting the other felons. We had a guy calling the show the other night that was abducted by his own brother, and the cops didn't show up for 3 days. He was held at gunpoint, and they didn't arrest his brother for 2 months. And that doesn't even count on those numbers. Those are just the pedophiles, not the felons for, bar fights, DUIs, or drug convictions. I think you put that kid in that meat grinder with those people, and it was just a matter of time before somebody took advantage of him. And I think the timing of the $50,000 loan and the $30,000 in cash, no matter where it is, I don't care where the money is. It's the fact that people knew that he had it, that he went around the bars one day a week. His mom said he was eating hamburgers and not drinking beers. I think that kid got lippy, told people he had that money, and probably something went wrong because those people were desperate for it, or he got involved with that 80 grand. 80 grand to most people, we wouldn't kill somebody, right? If you're out there going to the bathroom in a bucket, you don't have running water, 80 grand is life-changing. So I think that kid got murdered out there, and I think some of the people, if I had to do it, and I do this every show I go on, if I had to rank it, and my rankings prove, but it's always the same 3 people, I would say number 1 is still on top of my list would be Kurt Wadsworth. Number 2 would be Chase Venstra. Number 3 would be, Troy Wadsworth. And then the field would be number 4. But I think you're going to find out that there were several people. And I think you're going to find out that they used 4-wheelers to commit the crime. 4-wheelers, ATVs. That's how they get through the desert.
Do you think that with the FBI being on it, we're going to find out soon rather than later?
I mean, the FBI is still trying to find out who the hell D.B. Cooper is. So if they're knocking on doors and looking for footage, I would love for somebody in that Utah area to call up this show and say, hey, they came to my door and gave me a business card. What are they looking for? You know what I mean? That'd be pretty interesting. I am sure, and Kim, maybe you can help me with this. Where is that area that they were going door to door?
It is, Patricia, don't you? It was, I have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure Patricia has like the best.
Valley, Utah or something?
Yeah. It is Park Valley, Utah.
Okay, Park Valley, Utah. So let's crack this right here, right? Because my brain's moving. So let's do this. Somebody in your chat room, somebody listening to the show, how many people are watching us right now, Kim?
Let's see, 3,286.
Okay, so as many people as a small there's more people watching us right now than there are at Valdosta State University. Okay, here's the deal. I'm sure somebody in our chat room is close enough to Park Valley, Utah. So here's what I want you to do. If you have a Ring doorbell, every time my Ring doorbell goes off, it says, hey, there's fireworks. Who's shooting them off? There's a coyote running the streets. Whose garbage can is it? Somebody in our chat room could probably go to their Ring doorbell and see what that little community is talking about. Hey, why are the FBI here? They're asking about a missing kid. And you know how Ring doorbell does it? Somebody in our chat room or on this show is probably close enough to do that. And if they can do that, we could figure it out just by sheer numbers. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does. Tiggy lives an hour away, but and I don't know, maybe in an area that small that might be close enough. The Shock Lady says the FBI and sheriffs are working really hard even after hours. Jim, has the FBI talked to you at all?
No, I barely got the police to talk to me. The first cop that called me on behalf of the Aiden Klum kid, and him and I got into a nasty fight on the phone. I chewed him up pretty good. He said I was a conspiracy theorist and I was trying to connect the two cases and that I said that they were the same case. And I says, no, officer, they're similar. So him and I got into it. I told him to have his sheriff call me because I want to know about the vigilante group, which he said didn't exist. And I never heard back from that sheriff up there, Igor Valtrechich or whatever his name is. He won't talk to me. I did talk to 2 other detectives. One's name was Fisher, and I forget the other one. And they just kept pinging it off each other. The mom was right about that. Well, that's on that side of the border, and that's over here. I offered the police in Box Elder. Is that how you say Box Elder? I asked all the police departments to go look at Kurt Wadsworth's phone. Just ask him. If he says no, then you can't look at it. But it'd be interesting to hear him decline that. If things are deleted, then he's guilty. So what he said is, oh, no, it's too far away. We can't go down there just for a cell phone. Well, he doesn't have to give it to us. I says, I'll tell you what. I will pay for a limousine to come and pick him and his brother up. His cell phone. I will put him up there for the night at whatever hotel he wants in a dinner, and then have the limousine bring him back the next morning. They never made him that offer. It was like pulling teeth and pictures of the nail marks on Troy Wadsworth's arm, which the family took credit for.
Those guys are bad news, man.
Love Bug 53 is saying, heard Wadsworth is in jail now, has been arrested. Anybody else heard that?
So he would be out there somewhere on the computer. By the way, which Wadsworth?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Well, we really appreciate you calling in. And do you have any last questions for Jim?
Yeah, I just wanted to make another quick comment. I thought that was interesting of the young man that called in on that other show a few nights ago. I think his mother works at the saddle store.
That's
right.
correct.
Right. The other Dylan.
Wadsworth and drag, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. That he called in. That was pretty.
God
Yeah,
bless
that
him.
was the other Dylan, I think.
Dylan Berg.
Yes.
So, by the way, last night got 2 threatening phone calls from blocked numbers. I told him to download an app called Trap Call, which means you can't call someone from a blocked number. You can see who they are, and I'd run it for him. He got 2 phone calls last night from blocked numbers around 3 and 4 in the morning that said, if you go on another radio show, you're next.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Well, we appreciate you calling in. I'm going to let Patricia talk to Jim now, okay?
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome again, Jim. I really appreciate you coming on. And I was listening to the program last night when you were on No Thanks Investigates. And I happened to be listening at the time that there was some strange woman. She was calling back from multiple numbers, really dominating the program. And I was so glad when it was finally stopped. But you guys kept your cool through the whole thing.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm somebody that prays. And I was praying this morning about Dylan Rounds in this case. And it just came to me that if he's still alive, does he want to be found? And then I thought, what kind of a situation is he in? Is he in a situation he wants to be in, or is it being against his will? And then, Jim, you were saying at the top of the program here that you're going to be going on live at 10 o'clock or something, and you were going to reveal a picture that somebody had of Dylan. And I just wish you were going to premiere that here, but can you give us any hints about what you found out about that?
So a man called me. This is what we call a tease in the business. By the way, at 10:05, I will jump over there. If I can ask one, what time does this show end?
We can end it. We can end it at 10 o'clock. I'd like to honor that other channel too. And we started at 8.
They released footage here, and I don't know how all this works. And I love everybody, so it is what it is. I don't make a dime.
It is what it is. It doesn't matter.
So what I'd like to do is I'm going to take all of you knuckleheads, and I'm going to bring you over to a total dark side. So this show is the angel right here, like Kim, and this lady right here, Patricia, who looks like she's got a bunch of plates for winning tennis tournaments in the back. They're the angel on this shoulder. Oh no thanks or whatever is the little devil over here, right? He's junk food. He's Taco Bell. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of you guys once we leave church, and we're going to go to the bar, and we're going to explain to you how this man contacted me, said he was related to the family through Ancestry.com, said he was a convicted pedophile, wants to talk about why pedophiles would be attracted to this kid, how him being gay and being a pedophile attracted him to this kid. how he has a photograph of Dylan Rounds, which he swears is Friday, that I can't cross off the list. And then I'm going to turn it over to everybody, and you guys can tell me whether or not you think that's Dylan Rounds. And let me tell you something. You don't see his teeth. He has very, very, very unique teeth. But what I looked at was the hands, because people's hands don't change. Nobody changes their hands. You might change your nails, but you don't change your hands or your shoes.
The ears too.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I couldn't cross this guy's picture off the list. This story is so batshit crazy. We will release his photos, and he will take your calls on that show. A convicted pedophile is going to take your calls as to why he thinks the pedophiles in that town might have something to do with it. And I don't think that's been done anywhere, so I'm interested.
Okay, BS crazy, not the other word. You're going to get me in trouble.
He was saying that the picture was of last Friday, just a few days ago.
Yes, and it was on a major news network. It was at a rally. That's all I'm going to tell you. He was seen in a rally.
Wow.
And that comes back to what I was thinking about this morning while I was praying. Does he want to be found?
I that's a big question in my head. Hey, Kirsten, how are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
A couple of people, what channel is that being released on? So no, at 10:05, Jim is going over to Patricia. What is it?
No thanks. Investigates.
No thanks. Investigate. So we're going to end at 10 o'clock, and so everybody who wants to can go over there. And Jim already has a prior commitment to release that there. We're going to honor that. But so no big deal there. Kirsten, what are you thinking? What kind of questions do you have for Jim?
So Jim, I'm from Texas, so I'm an Astros fan. So
there you go.
Let me say real quick, Jessica, you're next, and then Repo Guy, you'll be after Jessica. So I just want Jessica and Repo Guy to know that I see you down there, and I'll be coming to you in just a minute.
You're on deck.
Yeah, there we go. That's a professional way to say it.
In the hole.
My question, Jim, is because I do a lot of online sleuthing myself, but the freeway. But I was just wondering about tracing those emails, because they can't tell us. Since he hasn't sent a picture, he's not sending a phone number, his IP address. We could know where he's located, that person, that kind of stuff.
I got about every sixth word. I have no idea what she said. It seems like when we have more people on, for me, it slows down and it jarbles. What did she say? I didn't hear her. I apologize.
I'll try to say it again. Yeah. I'll try to say it again, Jim. My question is, you were talking about how to know if that person is real. You were asking, is there a picture? Is there this? Is that? And have we done
email in British Columbia, right?
Yeah, it was Bob in British Columbia.
Yeah, but have we done an IP address, check, and have we done a email trace, that kind of stuff?
No, we haven't done any of that. Tyler got the emails. I did send the questions that I read earlier to Bob. But didn't get a response. So that's why when we started off that conversation, I made sure to say that was unverified, because I have not been able to verify it yet, other than Bob is a real person. With the things that he was saying in his email matched up with his Twitter profile. So I'm fairly certain he's a real person like Tyler. And I don't believe he didn't come across like he was doing this for any agenda. He just wasn't even sure if the information was important, but had been turned away when he tried to share it with Candace that's what he said. He said he had been turned away when he tried to share it with Candace. So that's why he was sharing it with Tyler. But it rang true to me, because there was nothing really earth shattering in it, other than it was kind of corroborating, some of the things that Jim had mentioned earlier about Dylan's proclivities that may be correlated to the case and what happened to him.
There is no doubt in my mind. You would have to be naive to think that homosexuality doesn't have something to do with this case. I don't care who that upsets. It has to do with this case, because it makes you have to cross a boyfriend off the list. It makes, I mean, now we're, okay, whether it's a boy or a girl, now he's got to, now we're not talking about a kid who just was with one person for the last 2 years that was grooming him. Now it looks like all of a sudden maybe Dylan got a little game. Maybe he's got people revolving in and out. He's getting people from other countries to come in. He's getting people to meet him on it. He's got a little game. You got a girlfriend? No. You got a boyfriend? Want one? You know, I mean, it looks like he knows what he's doing. This isn't the first time. There was a man's name I released on this show that was a photographer, and the media contacted him, and he says Dylan wasn't gay, but he didn't say he wasn't. You know, everybody asked Jim, can you prove he wasn't gay? Not any more than you could prove he's straight. So I just know what I know, and I don't know where it goes. And by the way, you got a show. All the guy has to do is go like this. And he can have a conversation with us. We don't see him. And we could do it in front of your whole audience tonight. So if he's there, you could give him that anonymity. You don't have to put his name. He'll put Bob, and we could talk to him live. I don't have to be the only one that talks to him. That'd be interesting to me. I'm sure he was.
Yeah, true. Good point. So, Bob, if you're in chat and want to come on anonymously, you know who you are. But I'm sure if you've been here, then you know who we're talking about. A very specific story. You're welcome to come on anonymously. So, Kirsten, any other questions?
Jim, how much
I need to
it cost
get Jessica in here and Reba guy.
Yeah. Jim, how much did it cost you to get your PI license?
Well, that's a double-edged sword. I went through a schooling in Florida and then opened up my business license in Mississippi. If right now you want to be a licensed private investigator in the state of Mississippi, I think it's $34.
Okay.
And my numbers there, I'll help anybody that wants to do it. Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Colorado, and Alaska, it's all the same. It's a business license. Then all you need is a catchy name and a business card. The toughest part of being a private investigator is getting the work.
I would like to do it for dating scams.
You would like to do it for what, ma'am?
Dating scams.
Oh, dating scams. Most of the calls I've gotten from people that were dating, I knew. And it would be a girl that I knew that was my sister's friend. And hey, my boyfriend said he was a Navy SEAL. Is that true? I get a lot of these too because of my football background. Hey, my boyfriend said he played at the University of Tennessee and that he was a standout football star in 1984. Is that true? No. He went to community college. He didn't go there. He didn't play football. And then they're like, oh, really? Or are you going to say anything? Then I always say, well, what are you going to tell him? Oh, I'm not going to say anything. What the hell did you want to know?
Yeah, and Rosalie was asking, so let's say this one more time, just to be clear that we don't really care about this fact. It just is relevant to the case. Rosalie says, what does it matter if he's gay or not? He's missing. We totally agree with you. So we don't disagree with you. We don't disagree that what does it matter? He's missing. That is the important thing. But his for some reason I'm echoing to myself, but whether or not he's gay may influence this case. It doesn't matter. It just may influence.
Kim, let me say what you probably don't want to, can't, or I'm not. I don't want to say that you're afraid to say it, but let me tell you, yeah, it has a hell of a lot to do with it. Number one, if his family didn't know, if his entire family didn't know, and they didn't know he was gay and he was dating 60-year-old men and flying guys in from other countries and having relationships with men that were threatening to be killed when they went back to their country, if that isn't important and his family didn't know that that was his lifestyle, what else didn't they know? Was he running coke? Was he taking Mexicans across the border? Was he into other stuff? If you don't know the simplest fact about his life as a mother or a family, what else don't you know? All of a sudden, I'd be looking around like, did he kill somebody? Is he running drugs? Not that if you're gay, you have to be running drugs, but you obviously don't know him as well as you thought you did. There's a little bit more of a story here than a hardworking 19-year-old that went into the desert and disappeared, and you got to be able to cross the significant others off. If he's gay and you didn't know that or don't want to face that, how many boyfriends does he have out there that maybe he went to go visit a guy and the guy slaughtered him in the desert? I don't know, but that's why it's important. So you need to get over yourself. You're triggered. I would ask for you, if we were in the office place right now, to have your desk moved away.
You got to look at the inner circle of the missing person.
For sure.
Who were the key
By the way, if If Bob calls this show and comes on here live, I will take Bob out to dinner, okay? I will date Bob if he comes on the program. That's how bad I want to talk to this guy. I'll be your boyfriend for a weekend. Go ahead.
All right, so I want to welcome Jessica. Kirsten, Kirsten, did you have any other questions before we move to Jessica?
I just want to say thank you, Jim. I would just want to say thank you, Jim, for everything and just giving us good insight. It's really appreciated and being respectful to us and everything. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know what I love about this right here? And I'm going to take a screenshot. It looks like we're on the dating game. And I'm like, well, listen, if I was an egg, what would you do to me? This is fantastic. There's a lady in a tank top now. Where'd she come from?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kirsten. Love you much.
Yep. And I might contact you,
right,
Jim. Just so you know, I might contact you.
Okay.
Bye, Kirsten. All right, Jessica, how are you?
I'm doing just great. Have really enjoyed listening to you guys. It really makes me intrigued in all of this whole situation. But I have one question. I have not heard anyone mention anything about like life insurance policies. If mom owed all this money and the seat of the truck was pushed all the way forward, does she have a life insurance policy on this child?
Let me real quick. Let me do two things here because this keeps coming up over and over and over and over and over again. As far as life insurance policy goes, it was never brought up. I never looked at the family as suspects. I knew exactly where the majority of them were. Now you got to love a chat room, and I don't mean her, of people that say, well, don't be rough on the mom. But by the way, is there life insurance taken out by the parents? So basically what you've got here, and I didn't look at the seat being moved up, meaning somebody was driving close. I have the same kind of a pickup truck. I have a Ford F-250. And I move the seat forward when I want to get something out of the back seat. So to me, the seat being moved forward doesn't mean somebody drove it there with the seat moved up, because now we got a bunch of 5-foot midgets out there that might have killed them. I think what happened is that seat was moved up to vacuum it, or to clean the back, or to get something in the back. I'm not buying that. We see that in every murder show. The seat was moved up. Yeah, the seat was moved up. They were getting the body out of the back.
I think it was moved up for the same reason. That's what I said the first night Tyler brought it up, is that I think that it was moved up because there was either something in the back seat, or they were cleaning out the back seat, or some reason of that sort. I don't think it was moved up for the driver either.
And you got to love a lady who comes on and asks a question and her shirt matches her drapes. I am fascinated by that.
I'm glad that was what you said. Lead with Love says there is gay and then there's John Wayne Gacy. Not the same thing. Dylan seems to have been in dysfunctional same-sex relationships. Hopefully safe-sex relationships too. But that's a good point, Lead with Love. I mean, there are, it was an interesting area. There's not many people there. And so I can't say the last name, says, how many polls will you have tonight? I'm sorry, I don't know how many Tyler set up, so I can't answer that question for you, but you can dismiss them. Candace says, different Candace, I wouldn't say a double life, shady life. His family didn't approve of him being gay and sent him to live with, I think she means Pedis, not Prados, but anyway. Jessica, any other questions do you have for Jim? I think you're muted. You're muted. Hold on. I'll unmute you. I think I can do it. No, you're going to have to unmute. You're muted, Jessica. You muted yourself somehow.
Yep. Sorry. I'm new to this, but you guys have intrigued me to want to ask that question. So.
Okay.
But thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Lawrenceburg. Where's Lawrenceburg? What part of Tennessee is that?
About an hour and a half south of Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
cool.
you're getting, okay, I know right where you're at. That's a beautiful part of the country. What's those two couples? Don't they live in that area that are on TV? They just got in all that legal trouble. They have a reality show. Don't they live right in that area?
Yeah.
Is that their area?
Well, they used to live one street over from me and Keith. But yes, now they're in Nashville.
Yeah.
Are they in trouble right now? Didn't they just lose a court case, so they're going to jail or something?
Oh yeah, they are.
Oh, that's.
But I don't watch them.
Yeah, well, basically money laundering, money scams, money schemes. I really like the Grizzlies, so I hate to hear that, but that's what they were convicted for.
Did you ever been over to their house?
No, we basically lived in one neighborhood, which was, and we used to live in River Moore. They lived in the River Club, like where Brian McCann and all those people lived. So we like shared a fence with their street, but we were almost like on the other side of the tracks, if that makes sense. Their neighborhood was like elite, multi-million-dollar homes. Our neighborhood was not, but our back fence was the same. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for your questions, and we appreciate you calling in. Don't be a stranger. Please be sure and hang around and call back in anytime. Thank you.
Well, I've really enjoyed listening to you guys, and I'll continue till you're over tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Repo Guy, you've been waiting patiently. Repo Guy,
how you guys doing?
Good. Hold on just a second. You got to mute. I'm going to mute him for a second. Repo Guy, just listen to me. Mute YouTube and then just listen through Streamlab. I don't know why I'm doing the hand signals, but just mute YouTube and just listen to us and talk to us through Streamlab. I don't know why I was doing that.
How do I do that?
Okay, in the YouTube video, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little speaker. Just click on that to mute YouTube. And then you'll listen to us. I don't know. I'm still doing the hand signals. You'll listen to us through. I don't know. You'll listen to us through Streamlab.
Or you can just shut your computer off and ask the question.
Yeah. Well, I'm on my phone.
Okay. The best thing to do might be just to close YouTube, and you'll still be able to hear us through Streamlab. Let's see if you did that. Okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
Is that
yes.
Is that better?
Yes, you're good. Yes.
Okay. Let me close everything out here.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Black Dove while he's Repo Guy's figuring that out.
I know this guy. I know this guy.
He was amazing last night. You need your own show, Black Dove. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Feeling a little bit under the weather, so I'll be brief. Sorry.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you. But the previous caller had said something along the lines of you could just trace the IP address for Bob to verify that he is indeed from British Columbia. But that's not a good way to vet somebody. So if anybody's thinking of doing that, that's really not a good idea, because you can just hop on a VPN and I can make myself look like I'm in British Columbia right now. It's really easy to do.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I
go ahead.
I was just going to say, because Jim, you brought up, or somebody brought up that they're searching in Park Valley, Utah now. I don't know if you're familiar with that place. I looked it up on Google Earth real quick and, zoomed around. It's nothing but tiny little houses and farms. And then in the very middle, it's another dot on the map. And there's nothing there but an LDS church. So that's kind of an interesting place to be knocking on people's doors. So maybe somebody in Park Valley has a connection to somebody in Lucin or Montello, like family related or something.
This guy's been right. This guy's been right on everything. You know what I mean? I mean, this guy has the mind for private investigating. He really, really does. There's no doubt about it, because he's good. I think he's a little bit younger than me, maybe 4 or 5 years. We talked to him at length last night. He kind of had his coming out party on one of these things on a show last night, and he floored everybody. He knows about drones. He knows about airplanes. He's also a gay dude, which I'm not telling you anything that he hasn't already said, which, by the way, I wanted to ask you, can you reiterate?
Yeah, I was gonna actually, when you were reading the triggered chats.
Right now.
Yeah, when the people get triggered in the chat, it's nonsense, and they need to stop being offended on behalf of other groups. Okay, because if they're not gay and they're getting offended on behalf of gay people because you're bringing up the fact that he might have been gay or in a gay relationship, that's ridiculous. Okay, it's like it provides potential motives and links to people. It provides, maybe one of these people who was affiliated with him because he was gay. He was, I don't know if he was. Maybe one of them actually knows something that's useful, like who else he was associated with. Like maybe this Bob guy knows something. So bringing up the whole thing, it's like, what does it matter if he's gay? It matters a lot, actually, but only insofar as that it makes the, like the motive more apparent, or what happened to him more apparent. It's not like somebody's judging him and saying, oh, you're living a life of sin because you're gay. That's not what people are doing when they bring it up, or trying to shame him if in fact he's deceased, and say, well, oh, by the way, this guy who's been brutally murdered or whatever, if that's what happened, he's gay, so let's just slander him after that. But if they're knocking on doors in Park Valley, do you think they think he's alive now, Jim?
I think they're looking for doorbell video. If that's on the way to and from where I think it is, I think they're looking for cameras. I think they're looking to see if anybody went through or got picked up or was in a group or something like that. But I mean, then again, anything's possible. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you this because you might be able to help. But I wanted to get your number. I want you to text me your phone number because I might be able to use you on future cases. But we might be able to use you right here, just like we asked the people out there on the Ring doorbell cams in that area to see what maybe the people are saying. Do you have, or do you know anybody that has a Grindr account?
Yeah, I know what Grindr is too. Like, I know exactly what it is. Do I have an account? No, I don't personally have one, but I know what it is, and I know like the kind of people who are generally on it.
I'll tell you what, I mean, we got a guy saying that he met him on there. I'm sure if Dylan went missing and had a Grindr account, which I believe are paid, is a paid subscription, he might
it's either paid or free. That's the thing. It's paid or free.
Probably. Dylan Rounds might have a Grindr account in that area. It would be from Idaho Falls to where he is. I don't know all of how those dating sites work. I looked into
Grindr's not even really a dating site. Like, that's not really even for dating. It's 90% of the people on there are not looking to date anyone. It's just basically a hookup app where people will meet and then hook up. It's not people looking for relationships.
Okay, good. So here's what I need. If you know or anybody out there has a Grindr account, start looking up Dylan Rounds' profile. He would be in that area. You know his age. He's not going to say he's 40. So I would look up somebody between the ages of 18 and let's say 25. He might have lied and said he was 21. If Dylan Rounds has a Grindr account right now and you're in the chat room, or you know a gay dude that got one, or is it women too, or is it just men?
There's both. There's everything on it. They've got like the billion pronoun thing, so you can be whatever you want.
But I mean, is there women looking for women on there? Just straight up chicks looking for chicks, or is it guys?
I think it's mostly males, but yeah, there are girls on there.
Okay, so right now, guys, get on that Grindr and see if you could see this kid out there. Chances are, if you want to look into what he's involved in, you might want to look for somebody who's into farming. But what do I know?
But if you do that, you need to make sure the age of the account would be like older than when he went missing. Because I don't know if you can see the exact age on the account, like how long they've been a member or had that account. But like if somebody finds one now with his picture or a picture of him, it could be a hoax. True. Like you could go make one right now and use a picture of him, and there's nothing that anybody's going to do to stop you. Pardon?
But you can see when the account started, though, right? You can see when they joined, like June 7th, right? So if it was from a year ago, it's probably legit.
I think you can. I'm not positive on that, but I think you can see the age of the account. Like I said, I don't use it, but I do know what it is, and I know like what it's about.
Yeah, Black Dove, you got to get a Grindr account. I'll pay for it. The last thing I want to do is get on there and I don't know what's going on, and then the next thing I know, I go down that rabbit hole. This is where you get commandeered, my friend. This is where you find the key to the puzzle, because if that exists out there, chances are he didn't delete it in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Probably not if he was using it. And I'm sure there's other apps out there too that are like that. That's not like it's just Grindr.
Well,
there's tons of dating apps and hookup apps.
Right, Kim? Grindr was mentioned in the email to you, right? So
Grindr
we know if this guy is telling the truth that he was on Grindr at some point.
Oh, well, maybe he was. And I mean, you could probably go to Grindr. Well, I don't mean like you, but I mean like the FBI could go to Grindr and actually pull any deleted accounts and see if he did have one at one point. Yeah, like maybe he got it and then he deleted it.
That's a very good point.
I'm going to bet dollars to donuts. Dylan Rounds, if that story checks out, still has a Grinder account out there. Probably something like Farm Boy 21 or something like that. That could be out there. Check it out. Hey guys, can you talk amongst yourselves? I got to plug in this computer, or it's going to die on the vine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We got 3 more people. We got Perplexed Cutie, Marcel, and Repo Guy. And I keep noticing we keep getting a little blurry. So I think we're using a lot of the bandwidth. So Black Dove, you
off for a while, or what would you like?
Well, I get we're only going to keep on about 18 minutes. Maybe if you don't mind, Patricia, you're always so amazing. I hate to ask you that, but it seems like we're using a lot of the bandwidth, and I want to. Okay,
no problem. And then, do you want me to come back at the end to pray?
Yes,
or what would you like?
I would love for you to. Thank you.
Got it. I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right, thank you, Patricia. And Black Dove, you are amazing. I do think you need your own channel. Do you have anything else you want to ask Jim? I want to get these other 3 on before we leave. But
yeah, I had one more thing to tell Jim.
Sure.
Okay, so Jim, I forgot who said they had the picture of the guy that looks like Dylan Rounds. That's you, Jim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Jim,
I have it. A pedophile from Mississippi sent it to me, and it'll be on the show following this channel immediately. I have to change, get in the car, and drive over to the studio, and then I'll be in the next studio, and we'll do it live there.
Okay, I think what you should do is you should get an artificial intelligence image enhancement app. There's some that have like free trials, and they specifically do faces for a lot of these.
Okay.
It's for like touching up old crappy photos and making them better. You might be able to run it through that and get a ton more clarity. It's not like old image upscaling. It actually runs it through multiple passes with an AI that compares it to like millions of other photos, and it enhances it like that. So it can get amazing resolution out of a shitty photo.
Well, I got to learn how to change my Facebook photo first. I mean, you guys are throwing. I was typing in high school. What do you guys talk? I can't even type. So this is why we need you, Black Dove.
Thank you so much, Black
Dove.
Dove.
Right, that's all I had.
Thank you.
No problem.
Get a hold of me. Get a hold of me, Black Dove.
Okay, right. Put your email out there because I don't like to text.
The coastal. It's
or I'll
very
call
simple.
You or something.
It's very simple. It's thecoastalpi@yahoo.com. thecoastalpi@yahoo.com. Hit me up. This guy looks
okay,
mad.
You got to get off the Yahoo and start using the Proton Mail.
Thank you, Black Dove. Thank you so much.
MySpace.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, Marcel. How are you? Let me say thank you. The super chat really quick. Lead with love. You've been so supportive, and just these few nights I've seen you here with us. She says, social engineer going to it. You have to list yourself as someone who lives near him because they show location. So Grindr shows you who is in your area that wants to hook up. So that's what she's saying. Thank you, Lead with Love, for the super chat. Marcel, what would you like to ask Jim?
Hey, so I was watching the live stream from yesterday, and I watched the whole thing, and something that popped into my head was if Dylan found Chase on the side of the road, bloody feet, beaten up, and then told Kurt what he had done in terms of helping Chase, whether it was keep him alive or do whatever, that is also a very large motive for Kurt, especially if they had a hatred for each other. If Kurt found out that Chase was helping him, I feel like that's right there. That's Kurt's motive right there for taking out Dylan.
I
or doing whatever he did.
I 100% agree, and I talked to all those people on the phone. And Kurt hated Chase Venstra, and Venstra hated Kurt, and they went back and forth on each other, and you could just hear the animosity. And Kurt wanted Chase Venstra in jail at some point. And I think you're right on there. I think if you throw a rock in a room with those two, you're going to hit somebody who has something to do with it. So yeah. I'm with you, my friend. I really, really am. That's an excellent point.
I completely agree.
Thank you.
I appreciate your work.
And thank you. By the way, this guy looks like every picture of Tiger Woods golfing in college.
I wish I could golf.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcel.
Have a good night.
All right. Good night. We got about 14 minutes left before we got to get out of here. So I'm going to add both Perplexed Cutie and hopefully Repo Guy has his sound fixed up there. So Repo Guy, Laura, y'all here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. How about you, Repo Guy? Oh no, he sounds like in a tunnel. There we go. There you go. All right, Laura, I'm going to let you go ahead and go first because I know you're probably going to hop onto the other channel too. But what are you
Hey,
thinking
Jim,
about?
can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, we can hear you good.
Well, it's kind of cutting in and out. I'm not sure what's going on. I've got great signal. Just real quick. So Jim, I've been a repo guy, man, for a long time. So I've got a lot of experience in finding people, and I hate that people's been giving you a lot of crap, man, because you're not boots on the ground. It's definitely not necessary to do what you've been doing. But so I spend a lot of time in a repo truck, and I first seen this case when the Diesel Brothers was flying around. You know, when I'm out driving, repoing cars, I check out YouTube channels. And then I caught an interview with you, you know, searching for other things on the case because it interested me. And then after hearing the first interview with you, I mean, this case become hotter to me than the Gabby Petito thing ever was, you know? So, but I've been trying to catch every show that you're on, and I've heard you mention that the mom wanted you to look into 2 other missing teens, right? Okay. That sleuth mom that you're talking about, you know, like I said, I've tried to find everything I could on the case with you on there, and I did run across her channel, and they released an audio recording of you talking to the family. I guess you've heard that. Have you seen that?
I heard it. Yeah, no. And that was the last conversation we had after I hadn't spoke with them for 3 days. And that was the last conversation we had. And we had had probably 24 conversations as a group like that before that blow up. And they had all been crazy. But yes, I've heard it. I was on the call.
Well, did you, after you had left the call, okay, you can hear Candace talking to someone else at her home. Yeah, and she said, she makes the statement, she just made that up about those 2 other people. She said she was trying to see if you would bite off on it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why she would do that. I just don't get this.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because she thinks I'm stupid. Let me tell you why. It's like when you go into the other room and you think your kids have been up to no good, and you say, "Hey, I know what you guys have been doing in here. You want to tell me?" All right, we burned the carpet. So she thought I was going to be like, "Yeah, I looked them up, and here's what I found." And then she was going to go, "There is no missing people. I looked them up." Here's the thing. She didn't hire me. She wasn't in charge of this. There's nobody that's in charge of my investigation other than me. Now, if there's something they want me to look into, the paying customer, then I will. But if it wasn't, so yes, there was also a license plate she wanted me to run. I'm not doing that. Even the family told me, and I wish I would have recorded more phone calls. Even the family said, "Hey, listen, we're hiring you because she's a whack job. We need to know what's going on out there so that she's not filtering all the discussions." Kim, you seem like a pretty believable person. You're a woman. You're a mom. Everything that I'm not, right? You're a nice lady. You got great hair. I mean, you know, there's a lot going on here. And you're telling us that this man, Bob, who may or may not have a relationship with Dylan, contacted her. Went ahead. Is she a conspiracy theorist? Is she a liar? Is she not see, the difference is sometimes, and with a guy like me, and I only know how to be one way, and they knew what they were getting into when they hired me. Sometimes people want, sometimes the delivery is more important than the facts.
Laura said that the other night in her chat. I remember Laura saying that when she was talking to you, Jim, and she was like, "Maybe it's just the delivery."
I sure did. Kim,
I think that this whole world is just gone too woke. I don't understand why people would be getting so offended about what you found out about this guy's sexuality. I've heard you mention on pretty much all these shows though about her wanting you to look at those teenagers, and I didn't know if you caught the last part of that audio where she was telling someone that she just made that up to see if you would bite. Like, that don't even make sense. If she was serious about finding her kid, why are you going to try to yank the chain on the private? I mean, that just didn't make sense. But one other question.
Go ahead.
One other question that I had for you. Another thing is, you know, you got a lot of haters out there that are talking about how you've brought all this information public. And I don't know, I'm a lot like you. I don't really care about people's feelings and stuff like that when it comes to, you know, finding out the truth on things. You know, I mean, I guess my question is, would you have went public if these people would have worked with you? You know, would this have came out like it has, you know, with you doing these shows?
To me, this was the homosexuality and who this guy was dating and the age difference was too much for me not to go public. Now, I begged the family for 3 days to get on the phone with me because I wanted to start going public and doing the press. They would not get on the phone with me for 72 hours. They had excuses. My daughter was sick. I had to go to the bank. I'm washing my hair. I had to rearrange my sock drawer. They finally got on the phone, and that's what you hear. They all got onto that phone to get a fight. By the way, if they had recorded every call, release them all, right? Go ahead, release them all. They recorded that call because they wanted to make a fool out of me, and they didn't realize that you can't hustle a hustler. And it's never going to happen. And let me tell everybody something about this. If you're in this industry, I don't work at Chuck E. Cheese. I am not working as a paralegal. I'm not the principal of an elementary school. I deal with psychopaths, sex offenders, drug dealers.
No, I get it. I get it totally.
So the people out there, and this is not you, partner, because I know the type of industry you're in. I've had to find RVs and stuff, and that's some of the toughest crap out there. But let me tell you something. I'm not working at a fast food restaurant, and I'm not working at your kid's elementary school. So if you don't like the words that I use, if you don't like how I handle it, it's because you've never had to deal with the type of human beings who get the results that I've had to do. So while you have the luxury of not being, or don't have the permission to talk this way at work, doesn't mean that what I'm doing isn't effective or have something to do. These people couldn't handle what I found, not handle the way I said it. So unfortunately, there's a hell of a lot of people that can't do what I do or sound like I sound because they're not in a position to. I own my own business. I'm my own boss. And you know what you're getting when you're going into this. So there's a lot of people that are more worried about what I say than the results that I've had because they don't have to be judged by a pass-fail business. They go into work. They don't say anything. They pack their salad. They go home and they watch reality TV until they do it all over again. I don't have to do any of that crap.
All right.
Right.
All right.
I think it's just real quick. I think it's awesome.
Guy, I gotta let Perplexed Cutie ask her question, and Jim's got to go in 6 minutes.
You got my number, partner. You call me anytime off the air.
All right, we'll do, Jim. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Repo Guy. Hey, Laura, how are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. I wanted to make sure I got you on before Jim had to leave. So I hated that I had to cut him off, but
because it's Tyler's channel, I had to switch into professional mode. So there's no cursing. But
okay, good.
Jim, you said something that triggered me, and I'm going to explain why. So you tout yourself as a professional. You say that you have a successful career, correct? Okay. Yes, now I know PIs are not policemen, and I know that PIs do not do things the way cops do things. However, statistically speaking, out of 1,000 people, 1,000 murders, 193 of those murders are by mothers. In kidnappings and abductions, statistically from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, 90% of kidnappings and abductions are internal. And 60% of that 90% comes from mothers. Therefore, why wouldn't you start internally and find out if there was life insurance? You're a PI. So I can't understand, and this is a question, I'm not doubting you, it's actually a question. Is it because they paid you immediately that you didn't look into them? Because statistically, the 90% chance that they did it, and you looked into everything else from the mom, I would think that you would have looked into that from the mom and that angle of it. So my question to you is, why wouldn't you?
Boy, you got to love the backhanded strike there, but I like it, because you got all your money up front. I have never had a case in almost 7 years where I haven't gotten all my money up front. And that's just the way I do business, because I don't want anybody to think at $100 an hour, I'm towing the line and taking phone calls and droning the family out. You pay me one lump sum and I got to get it over as quick as possible. The reason I don't do that, and the reason that I didn't look into the statistics that you were involved in and the things that you were that you're saying, those type of statistics, is because I had the way I wanted to do it. And while in sports or anything else, it might be best to do things statistically, I was locked on to a couple of people that I thought I would be able to cross off the list very, very fast. I'm going to probably go with a bloody guy that I need to talk to coming out of the desert, talking to this young man with a massive criminal record, felonies and warrants. I'm probably going to want to talk to him faster and more recent, especially with a $5,000 bounty, than I am what the statistics say. Then once he tells me this guy's gay, which is Kurt Wadsworth, that's where it first came from, Chase, then I'm probably going to want to tell the parents about the significant others. I had a total of maybe 8 full days on this with everybody, 6 to 8 full days. The first 4 or 5 days of this whole thing, it was only me and the grandparents. And they wanted me to look at some things that the parents hadn't looked at. So the one aspect of this where you may be right is, I'll tell you what, I learn every day in this business. From now on, that will be the first question I ask. But you got to understand, I've got grandparents and parents right there. I didn't want to say the first thing off the bat, did you kill your kids? So I need to know if you have life insurance policies. So what I did, look at what they did to me when I told them I thought their son was a homosexual. They got rid of me. Could you imagine if I would have asked them if they were the reason he was dead because they had insurance? But that's an excellent question. That's something I will do from now on. And I think you're 100% right. But don't think it's because I got the money up front.
No. I was asking you that, though, because I'm not a PI. I don't know how it works. But I mean, if someone pays you immediately, like I'm sure you do I know you do consultations and stuff. So my feeling is, would that be something that is asked in consultation before they pay you? Did they automatically pay you? Like in my mind, it's almost shady if they didn't tell you everything. If you didn't ask everything, that's not their fault. But if they didn't tell you everything right off the bat, only because I've seen so many missing cases, so many missing kids, and so many times it falls back to the parents.
Yeah.
Not every time, but a lot of times. So
the first 3 or 4 days, my instructions were not even to tell the mom and dad that part of the family hired me. So no. You know what I mean? So no, I didn't. But from now on, I could make sure that I will. But just so that people know, in almost 7 years, with the exception of one case, every case I've been involved in has been solved. Even if I'm not the one that pulled him out of the river, Rebecca Barsotti, Lori Cockrell, Gloria Alvarado, Anthony Smith. I can go on. And those aren't even the cases that were recovering of things like somebody's dog or their RV or a Super Bowl ring. I've done those as well. So while I admit everything in this thing is a learning curve to me, and he can bend on the time a little bit because this is important. I don't want people running from this. I appreciate everything that these people ask me, and it's very easy to armchair quarterback. I'm used to this in sports. Why didn't you do, Jim? You played college football. Why didn't you do this? But the people that usually ask those questions are the ones that have never done it themselves. And that's okay. I'm used to that. And I've said on these channels before, which has gotten me in trouble with this community. And this lady is very good at what she does. I've been on her show. We've talked off the air even before I was on her show. She has a very successful business. What, by the way, if I wanted to get a candle that didn't make my cats or dogs sneeze, what would I go with?
You can go with anything. None of my candles they're all allergen free. So you have nothing to worry about.
So what I'm telling you people is, listen, I don't have all the answers. All I know, and what I tell the families in my consultation, if that's what you want to call them, is there's about 4 or 5 things I could do for you that the cops can't. I can go to areas that they can't because they have a jurisdiction. You will give me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you will always have somebody. I will work on the case until it's done. I will never, ever quit, and I will never lie to you. If that's not enough, then I'm not for them. And if they don't like the way I'm saying it, then I'm not for them. And I've lost cases because of that. So I don't know. You know, it is what it is. I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate the opportunity. Now, I am going to get in my car and I am going to drive all the way to Southern California here in about the next 3 minutes. And I am going to be live on what show?
Hold on. Before you go on, no thanks. I need 5 minutes on the phone with you. I called you 3 times the other night. You did not answer. I got an email of 10
I'm trying to do a little piece of business right now. I'm trying to do a little piece of business.
I got a 10-page email the other day, and I'm like you. I don't read emails, but I got a 10-page email in regards to you and something that you mentioned on a live. And I just...
You're live?
No, something that you mentioned on somebody else's live. But
well, is it something good or is it something bad?
10-page email.
Is it something good or something bad?
Was it from a woman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it from whom?
I figured you guys got the same one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it from whom?
Hey, MJ.
The same woman that called in last night.
Oh, she called in last night?
She called in on no. And the same woman, she's emailing people that you're on the channel.
This is the same woman who said her sister was the attorney for Britney Spears. She said her dad ran for president and all that stuff. Yeah, I know who that is. She called the show live last night and said, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, you know what she needs to do? She needs to go to the police. I don't know what that woman's problem is. You know what I mean? She was entertaining. She got obliterated last night, but I definitely know a little bit more than you think I know about that. And, you know,
that's 10 pages. Talking about.
Oh, she got a different email. It sounds like Laura got a different email.
I mean, not to sound rude, I don't particularly believe the email, but Jim, you mentioned this case that she wrote me about. So that's why I need to talk to you.
Well, can you tell me the case here? We're all friends here. There's only 3 people. Huh? No, you can't do it. Okay. Nobody's listening to this. How many people are listening?
Let's just say you mentioned this and you said that you were working the case. She says otherwise, but it has to do with the bail bondsman.
Oh yeah, that's the same one.
Yeah, that's the same whack job we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't watch last night, so I didn't know.
Yeah, you really need to start watching. Right, is there anything else? Do you want to see if my license plates are still valid, or do you want to see if I have, any overdue library books? Anything else you need? Why don't you send Kim a candle for pubbing your show on here? Why don't you send Kim a candle?
You know who you two remind me of? You two remind me of, and my age is going to show, but I think y'all are the same age as me. Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd on Moonlighting.
Now I'm offended. This woman is 16 years my elder. Are you out of your mind? I gotta go to another show. Oh no, guys.
How old are you?
She gets free coffee at McDonald's, guys.
How old are you? You're not 30.
No, he's not. He's teasing you. All right. Thank you, Laura. I'm gonna bring Patricia in and let her pray us out. But I appreciate you being in here, and I will definitely be on your stream. Be in your I can't stop laughing. My husband's over here laughing, making me laugh harder. But I will be on your channel soon again, I'm sure, in your chat. But thank you, Laura.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now I'm going to add Patricia back. And as y'all know, I know we're probably going to lose a few watchers, but we are a faith-based channel here. And so one of the things we always do at the end of the night is we end our night in prayer. So when I host, my beautiful friend Patricia, who has an amazing gift for praying in public, does our closing prayer. So Patricia, I'm going to turn it over to you. And then I guess we'll see most of you probably on UMNO Investigates.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody. Father God, I just lift up this live stream. And I just, first of all, want to say thank you, Father, for bringing Jim to us. It's no coincidence that he's been here and that he's being widely accepted and appreciated. And we certainly do invite him back. I ask that you just bless him with the ability to get all the facts, all of the truth, all of the names, everything that is needed to wrap up his cases, Father, especially right now when we're all focused on Dylan Rounds. I lift up all of the other YouTube creators that are now networking with Tyler Feller. It's a blessing, Father, and I just ask that they encourage each other, that they help each other, for they're all looking for missing persons. And we all lift up the families, the friends, the co-workers, the associates of all these missing persons. And Father, I just ask that you would blanket them with comfort, that you strengthen them in their tenacity to find out what's happened to their children, their sons, their daughters, their loved ones, in the name of Jesus Christ. Bless Kim and Keith and all of the people that are in our chat tonight, that everyone is safe. They have victory over any challenge that they have because they have you in their life, Father God. In the name of Jesus Christ, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Patricia. As usual, amazing. And thank you all. Bye, Patricia. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being in chat, being polite to Jim, respecting Tyler's rules, and for joining us. And thank you to all the new members, all the new subscribers. We appreciate it. And just, again, all I can really say is thank you for being here. And so we're going to end it now. After the stream is over, please do make sure to leave a comment when the stream refreshes and the permanent video is there. That helps others find the channel. And do check out tylerfeller.com/merch. And, if you are faith inclined, please join us on Faith Fridays for some prayer and a great message from our pastor, Tyler Feller. And with that, have a wonderful evening. Everybody stay safe, and let's hope that we can get some good news in these cases soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.